Picking back off what you said before, where there was people that weren't so kind because there's competition. And I've heard some stories of just of the audition alone, and what that's like and how it could be brutal. And for you, what was your experience like? What were some of the challenges you faced as you were, um, even from the start of breaking into the industry up to now? And how are you able to overcome that? Like, what is the process? What does that process look like for you? Just keep you going.
Oh gosh, I feel like I mean, I think starting out, you like have you ever watched those like competition shows with parents and they have their kids competing? The parents tend to be worse than the
Parents,
kids.
yeah, they are.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, I feel like more so the adults were a little a little much.
Mm,
Um, and I get how sometimes that translated over to like your like people your own age kind of developing that same, like kind of that same mentality. Um, I think, ooh, I think earlier on it was rough. I feel super supported by people I meet now that I think we're all like into adulthood. It feels more supportive, in my opinion. Um, and like going to classes and doing shows. Everyone is so supportive of each other, and I love it. And that was just not like my original introduction
right.
into, into the creative space, which did not, of course, help the anxiety part of everything. Um, so I think definitely now I feel so much more like embraced, accepted, and I feel safe. I feel welcomed. I feel, I'm so happy and excited to network and work with people. That's how I met you. Like, and it's so much more fun for me now. And I'm so happy, like I'm really happy, really, really happy that I get to meet people, we get to talk about our craft.
Yeah.
It's not what I expected it to look like because it was very just like competitive, but not in a healthy way. It's like not a healthy competition. And I never felt like I had something to prove to someone else. Acting. I only felt like I wanted to prove something to myself and to but by like my success or moving forward, it would that in and of itself, the people who poured into me, like showed them that, hey, like you pouring into me didn't go to waste. Was I kept going. So that's always the people that I think about when I do auditions. Um, a lot of people say like auditioning is the business because you're gonna spend more time probably auditioning than you will maybe even being in things, as in particular for actors. Um, but auditioning is the business and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the role. It doesn't matter if it's just an audition. That's a big thing to get an audition, to get in the room. And I think about, okay, this is for myself. I'm always trying to like top what I did last time. And it's for the people who poured into me. And it's like, look, I'm utilizing all of these skills we learned in class. I'm utilizing all the
Mm.
positive feedback, all the good feedback, all the constructive criticism, you get from your teachers and things like that. And we're here and we're going to work it and we're going to work the room and I'm going to make those people proud. And that's what I think about now versus then it was just like, I just want to get away from all you scary folks who are mean. I just want to get out of here.
Right. It
Yeah.
sounds like you created where you're able to have this now more positive feedback. Because I do believe in the law of attraction. So
Yes.
somewhere along the way, you were like, I'm no longer going to accept this. We're not going to be doing this.
Yes.
And I just wanted to ask if you could just give a little advice to those who are not there and haven't created that space of more positivity. And I've heard of with the audition how brutal that can be. Just people, negative people, those are trying to stop them from doing something that they are finding that joy that you are now finding very joyful with the networking and everything like that. What advice can you give to people who are I'm not quite there where you are just yet.
I would say a piece of advice that my therapist actually gave to me, and it is don't take it so seriously. That
That
sounds
easier said than done though,
right,
because I'm a
right.
serious person. So when you say that, I'm like,
And she mentioned she talked about this. She was like, as you get older, you and I might be paraphrasing it correctly. I'm sorry, Miss Therapist. I'm so sorry. But but her point was that like I take everything like everything is important. And it is, but do I have to put that much emphasis on what someone said here or there? Like I to take it so many classes and workshops, I have met more people giving me bad advice or half truth advice than I have that's like really constructive, actually helpful, actually makes sense in the industry we work in. Sometimes people are just talking and they're not talking from a place that is like I went to an event recently and I'm not going to get into too many details, but they were just like, yeah, maybe ignore everything that person said. And I was like, I got
mm-hmm.
that feeling like you're gonna take stuff and you're gonna just have to throw it away. I don't even remember what she said.
Oh,
Like
good.
I'm like, I know she said something, and I was just like, that didn't make sense to me. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking to someone, it's like, yeah, don't it doesn't make sense. Just throw it away. And be good at like throwing it away and like letting like yeah like not putting as much emphasis on things outside of ourselves. I learned
Mm-hmm.
to do, and that's like the best advice I would give. I put a lot of emphasis on stuff that didn't need to be there. Just
Right. Just
yeah.
keep filling your head with all the stuff that doesn't need to be there. Just throwing it away. No, I think that's a great
Wow.
advice. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely, I think you're right. It does come with age. Um, I also feel like it depends on who it's coming from, too. When you have people as a closer unit to you, and you're like, this is where you have to have the boundaries and set that up. You're like, thank you, but I'm gonna listen to, and I think you also why it's also going back to where you took the time to understand yourself is now you're able to listen to yourself, and that's why it's also important. I feel for people to do what you have done because then you know what's right. Like, you know what? Because you just said it. Like, this doesn't really feel right. I'm gonna put that over there, and now you don't even
Exactly.
remember it.
Exactly, like the boundaries thing. Like along with not taking the thing so seriously, it's like the better boundaries. And I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand. Like you're taking yourself seriously in what you do. And I think that seriousness you might put on the like other people or other things, you're actually keeping it all for you. And then those boundaries are in place. So no one's like snatching anything that doesn't belong to them, you know?
I
Like,
like that.
you know. But yeah, I think I think those things become really important.
Yes, yes. I'm loving this conversation very much. This is just like I told Ike, having these conversations, you just never know truly what's going to come up from the experience because in the end, we're all humans. We're all human beings. And I know for a fact, just even like me talking to you, I'm just like, yes, Asha, I hear you. I hear you. And I appreciate, you sharing all of this. So I know for a fact that others listening to this are going to be able to take away something. And thank you again for sharing that. But I do want to go into my next question is knowing what you know now about the industry, what you experienced versus for when you were starting out or you had this twinkle of a dream. Little Asha again, who loves to sing and taking acting classes. Is there anything that you would change? And is there any experiences that you are thankful for to having that brought you to where you are now?
Man, all that money that I spent at the beginning on some of those classes, I wish I could get that back. I mean,
I wasn't expecting that, but okay, I get you. I hear you.
it's hard. Like I think about that all Like, remember that class that I took? And it was
Oh,
thousands of dollars and it
okay.
amounted to nothing in real
Mhm.
world anything. Yeah. I wish I could get that money back. Um,
So then what would it be instead? Instead of taking those classes, what would you have done? Or was it even like, could you even change that? Was that?
I can't. The money is spent. I don't know. I would have went on vacation. Anything else. But
But
no,
what I mean is like the class that you took, is it something that you could have just easily have learned through experience, or was it just really nothing?
I think that, and I've heard this before from other actors, when you're just like starting out and you're trying to, especially if you're out of school and you're taking, secondary classes, like finding out the teachers who are legit, who are
Mm.
just, or versus just BSing you, who are going to give you real deal about the business, about what you can do, real feedback on your acting, your auditioning skills, like legitimate stuff. And I remember taking classes with a person, and it was just like, what did I really gain from that in comparison to the classes that I took after that? I mean, I knew now what to look for in a good
Mm.
teacher. I At the very least, that's what I gained from that experience is I knew what to look for. People
Okay.
were going to tell you how to properly format your resume. If you're interested in like the different acting techniques, people have actually studied those techniques. Real world, business advice, how you should set up for self-tape, the type of things you should have. Now, I mean, we have TikTok, I mean,
Oh
we had
yeah.
Instagram back then. We had Google, but it's not the way, to me, it's not even as open as it is now, where you could like someone definitely created like a website for that, for you can just do everything. What photographers to get in of people in your price range, because they had, I remember I was starting out, they were like, everything is just so expensive. You have to have the top of the top of the top. And it's like, we're just filming stuff on our phones now. It's
Hmm.
like that. It's a
Yep.
lot less pressure. Like it's still, you want good quality, but it's like the art and what you're doing, what you're creating and being innovative now is so much more important than whether you're going, and someone told me to go into an audition with designer clothes on. And I'm like,
Oh.
and I was
Oh.
like, now of course I'm like, what does that have to
Yeah.
do with anything?
That sounds crazy, but okay.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Because
Yeah.
what you wear is going to help you in the audition.
Like to it, like of
To
course
a
you're
point, to a
for your
point.
character,
Let me
but
retract that a little bit. To a point. I mean, if you're
yeah,
going to like really commit to a role and like a certain things that can help you get into that character, but not because it's a designer clothes.
it was all types of things that I heard that were
Wow.
just, now I find them so bizarre and wonder why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did this answer the question?
Well, your response also reminds me a little bit of during Ike's interview. He mentioned that what he took away was more of onset. And I don't know if you experienced it where you thought something like a gig was going to be an acting gig was going to be a certain way until you get there. So yes, you experienced the same thing he did. He's like, now I know what to look out for. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you've experienced that too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I think like when you're going and you're meeting people online versus what's happening, and I hate to be that person who's like, but you have to really ask a million questions. Like, I never want to make someone feel like they're illegitimate in their craft because I'm asking them questions. But the truth of the matter is, we got people doing everything, and
Yeah.
not all of that's like, I don't know if all of that's technically legal. Like, there's a lot of stuff. You got to
Yes,
protect yourself. You
you
got to
do.
protect yourself and your pockets, your money.
Yeah. Because again, we don't know exactly who's watching this. It could be someone that's just like very green and so excited that they want to jump in, and you're like, okay, well, here's some red flags you need to look out for.
Yeah, reach out to other actors who might have a little bit more seasoning on their plate, and
Mhm.
they'll send you the questions to ask. Actors are they actually like to help each other. They like yeah, like if you have an acting teacher, ask them like
Hmm.
what should I be looking out for? What should I ask?
Yes, yes. That's great advice.